Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Huddle podcast. My name is Aneesh.
And you already know who it is. It's your boy Temi.
How you doing, Temi?
Good. Busy but good. It's the best time of the week.
I know.
Fantasy all the
It's
time.
Tuesday night.
Fantasy all the time.
Well, if you're ready, then let's huddle up and get ready for the show. So, in this episode, we're going to go over pretty much the usual weekly segments. We're going to go over our league week 2 recap with the matchups, and then jump into the week 2 games from Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, just a handful of games there. And then transition over to Aneesh's stud list and Tami's naughty list. And then, unfortunately for this week, there's a lot of injuries, so we're going to have a extra big injury watch segment with Temi. And then we're going to transition over and conclude with the waiver wire targets and week 2 predictions. So, Temi, let's start off with a quick league update from this past week for our beloved Absolute Units League. Yeah, I just want to shout out James. James is the highest scorer of this week. He got 165 points, and he was facing me. I had 104 points. Yeah, he had no CMC too, which is crazy. Good for you, James. Your team is pretty good. And I picked you as one of the pretenders. I have to pat myself on the back as player. And on the other hand, though, the lowest score of the week this time was not me. It was Sid. Sid got 77 points. His wide receivers truly let him down. His tight end let him down, Kyle Pitts. Yeah, his wide receivers got it combined. Guess. I want you to guess.
I mean, does he have a wide receiver in flex also?
Yes.
So 3 wide receivers, 77 points. That's not a lot of points. So I would say combined they scored 20.
Lower.
15.
Yeah, about it is 16 points. 16.1.
Okay. Not too far. Yeah, that's insane. That's a sad week. Down bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on this week's matchups?
Yeah, I was just gonna say hats off to my boy Jimbo James last week of bad managing. His team bounced back and no CMC, no problem. He figured it out. It was looking really good. Yeah, honestly, similar to you. I looked at the scene. I was very envious, and I was like, "Wow, must be nice." And I looked at my team, and I was not happy with what I saw. But kudos to James, looking really strong. Just hope he keeps going strong.
Very consistent production, I gotta say. Like from QB to all the way down to kicker. Besides his tight end and flex, everyone scored above 12 points.
That's good. That's a good week. How long is it? I mean, that's not going to happen all the time, but he has a solid team, without a doubt. And I think Sid just had one of those weeks. And it happens to the best of us. Whoa. Why come? Well, why did he start the Adonai Mitchell? Why?
That's a good question.
Because AJ is out, T is out. Okay, his team is crippled at the moment, so at least he has an excuse. He needs to drop Hollywood Brown because Hollywood Brown is out for the year and put in wide receiver one of his injured wide receivers in the IR and pick up another player. But yeah, and he also had Brandon Cooks starting injuries. He has an excuse.
Another thing I want to highlight, we've had our first official trade that last week happened between me and Sawyer, who's another person in our league. I traded Isaiah Likely and George Pickens for Rachaad White. So I had the number 1 waiver claim last week, and I picked Isaiah Likely just for trade bait. And I was literally talking to 3 different people, and I was like, I felt like a GM. I was bouncing offers back and forth. I was like,
can I guess it 3 people?
I have an offer on the table. Can you match it or get it like better? At one point, I was about to get Travis Etienne.
What?
But then the person who has him came to senses.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it Blanche that has him?
Yeah, he has ETN.
So my three guesses are Vinny, Blanche, and Sawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Vinny, the conversations really didn't go anywhere. He wanted to trade
Vinny's
wide receivers.
crazy. Speaking of Vinny, oh my god, some of the absurdity. Me and Vinny were having a conversation this weekend, and he was telling me how Mark Andrews is not a top, is like a top 12 wide receiver, not wide receiver, tight end. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That is the most disrespectful thing ever to Mark Andrews. Like, he's literally naming guys that haven't proved anything in their careers. Head of Mark Andrews, guys like even Evan Ingram, who's been there and like hasn't
Yeah,
accomplished as much as Mark Andrews. And I'm like, bro, that's crazy. I was very
that's pretty
baffled by that
bold.
that conversation. So I was like, no way, you capping. But the disrespect. Hopefully, Mark Andrews needs to make me proud soon.
Did he do
His
well
script,
this week?
he did average. He got like 9 points. Nothing crazy, but the
Mm.
Ravens as a whole
Yeah,
struggled.
again, they lost.
Yeah, a
But
lot of upsets
anyways,
this week.
yeah. Speaking of upsets, though, or I guess not really, but let's transition over to the games. Thursday night football. There was an exciting AFC East matchup between Buffalo at Miami. Uh, I would say to start off, let's talk about the running backs for each of these teams. They've respectively both boomed. James Cook, if you have him, you must be feeling pretty happy that you drafted him. And I was honestly, I doubted James Cook. I did not.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know why. But regardless, Bills are playing really well. And on the other hand, Devon Achane, who you doubted a little bit, was also dominant. And yeah, so give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll say this. I said this on the last episode. I'm big on James Cook this year. Like, I think this is the season to really blossom into like a really elite type running back that he gets drafted like in the second round next year.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what his ADP was this season.
it was
So
it was in third, a little
yeah,
third
so I
round.
can see him being like top 10 running back this year, and then like top 10 drafted next year too. For Achin had a great game, but it was kind of like PPR scamming type game. Like he did decent, still decent. I think he scored a
Actually,
touchdown.
just to jump in, James Cook was fifth round. Sorry, I was
Fifth
mistaken.
round, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So I think I can see him being going in the second round next season with the type of season I believe he's gonna have this year. But Devon Achin really was the only thing going for Miami for a
Yeah,
rough night for Miami. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong for Miami. So it starts with a little start party and like, but hey, he got the job done. Did pretty well. I'm definitely questioning my take a little bit, but it's a long season. There were rumors about him being injured already from the before the game, but
yeah.
it seems like he's fine. So
Yeah, he looked really good. And yeah, speaking of Miami, though, you can't not speak about what happened, unfortunately, with Tua. Tua got a pretty bad concussion and now was put on IR. We can talk about this later, but with Tua hurt, though, what does that mean for the rest of the team, fantasy wise?
well, the tied backup quarterback that came in. Yes, he had a little, just very little time, but in that little time, it did not give a lot of positive optimism.
Yeah,
Did not give any optimism for anyone that owns the Miami wide receivers. He did not look good, but I can understand it was an unexpected time. He came in. Honestly, after Tua got injured and the game was kind of like done, I just turned on the TV. I turned off the TV and I
yeah,
was like, yeah, this is game over. There's no point of me watching this backup QB struggle. So I hope it was just like the jitters of just being thrown in there, and
yeah,
maybe at least he has weapons. He's surrounded by weapons. So and he's an NFL QB. Like they still are talented people, even if he's a
sure,
backup. So
yeah,
I hope he's able to kind of use his weapons and they create a system around him that benefits his strengths and
absolutely,
still allow them to be productive. I'm not giving up on the wide receivers yet. Definitely players like Tyreek are still gonna get theirs.
absolutely.
I was getting a little bit more concerned for Wadu. He's the second option. Like The target share is not as there, but Tyreek is still going to be productive.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think Tyreek, honestly, any quarterback in the league can throw like screens to Tyreek and let him do the magic that he
Yeah,
does, or Devon Achane, hand the ball off to him, do short dump offs to the running back. But Waddle, though, Waddle is more of a deep threat, kind of like he's that fast guy that he's a secondary option, as you mentioned, and I'm not sure if the quarterback is talented enough to feed that many people.
yeah. They'll have to develop a new different
Would
system
you
for this quarterback.
would you would you trade for Waddle, or would you want to trade Waddle if you have him?
It depends on how deep I am, and
Yeah,
if I'm like right now in our league, if I own Wadu, I'll probably want to trade him away just because my wide receivers are struggling. Talking
yeah.
about struggling, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman. Come on, guys, you guys are killing me. Come on, I believe in you guys. Please, I'm pleading. You hear this? Please save me because this is
Yeah, it's
I know you guys
tough.
are more talented at this, but it's only week 2. But if I do have Wadu in our league, I would trade him away because I already have 2 questionable, struggling wide
Yeah,
receivers at the moment.
yeah. But good luck to Tua. Whatever he does, rest of his career, it's up to him. And
Yeah, that's a difficult decision to make.
definitely difficult. But I want him to get better first before he makes a decision. So
Yeah, they place him on IR. If I
yeah,
am a fantasy, speaking purely from fantasy, though, not to like take away the gravity of this decision. Obviously, we can't say anything because it's Tua's life. But for fantasy, if I own Tua, I'm just dropping him to get a different. Like there's too many other
yeah.
quarterbacks on waiver
It's
wire
yeah,
that you could pick up if your main one like goes off. Drop him, pick up.
totally agree.
There's too many injuries this week to not shoot that or another player and
Yeah,
waste the extra spot on keeping Tua. Way
yeah.
too many injuries.
Fantasy wise,
Yeah,
you can definitely drop them. You can
yeah.
pick up Derek Carr, Gardner Minshew. They're all like pretty serviceable right now. So
Yeah. So
yeah, for
quarterback,
sure.
there are options there. I would drop him. Everyone has players that's probably like injured or like questionable or some sort. So that one IL sport, if your league has it, like use it for someone else. Don't use it on
Yeah.
Tua. It's not worth it.
All right, let's transition to Sunday. First matchup. Speaking of upsets, we did talk about upsets. This is a big upset here. Saints utterly dominated the Cowboys, and we can't not talk about the Saints and not talk about Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara scored his highest points, 41 points. 44 points since that a couple years ago. I think he got like 55 points or something.
Against Lance
Yeah, I
in the
had him.
final.
Yeah, he had 4 touchdowns though. But tell me this: do you think the Saints are what is this? Is this who they are? Are they gonna come down to earth? Like what's happening?
The Saints, they kind of did this last year and came back down
Mhm.
to earth. But this year, I don't know. I think the car has had a little bit more time with that team. So like things are clicking. They're starting very well. I think it was very impressive showing this past 2 weekends.
Yeah,
If they repeat it 3 times next week, like the third week 3 against the Eagles, then like I think without a doubt they're definitely
they're
NFC
for real.
contenders. Like
Yeah,
they're for real. Like Eagles are struggling right now, but we'll talk about that later. But if they can show the same level of dominance of like scoring 40 plus points, then as an Eagles fan, I'll be concerned because that's another NFC contender that just emerged that we weren't
absolutely.
having a radar on. But they looked good. Having Kamara look back to like 3 years ago, having Kamara. I wish he did this when I had him like last year and 2 years ago. But, it happens. It looks good. And they look really good.
He looks like he lost a couple years. Like he's not. He doesn't look like a 29-year-old running back. He looks
Yeah.
fast. He looks explosive. He
It's
looks.
back to his
You know who?
26-year-old self.
You know who else? Who else is explosive though? Rashid
Shaid.
Shaheed.
Shaid. It is definitely very, very explosive. Deep threat. But similar to last year though, Shaid, first 2 weeks,
Yeah,
it was it was hot. And I mean, I'm skeptical, but I think one more year of experience gives you even better odds of doing better.
yeah.
So I'm not gonna say like is off, but it's definitely a good flex option.
And another thing about Saints before we talk about the Cowboys? Guess how many times Derek Carr had a completion or just threw a pass?
Just do a
Completion and
pass.
completion and attempts. Guess his
I
stats.
thought he was 15 for 15 at some point.
Yeah, he was very efficient. But what I'm trying to get at is he only threw 11 passes, completed passes, and attempted 16, and they
Wow.
they won by 40. They won 44-19.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara did a lot of work against the
Yeah,
Cowboys defense. Too, like that's
at Dallas too on the road.
wow, rough week for NFC East.
I know that was honestly very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, wow. Well, NFC South is starting to look good.
Yeah. And then for the Cowboys, though, CD Lamb got back on track with a big touchdown pass they caught and ran in for the touchdown. Other than that, though, pretty average showing. Their running backs didn't do too hot. Rico Dowdle was
Yeah,
the starter. I'm a little concerned
yeah.
here.
I don't know. The Cowboys they bark a lot. As in, I don't know, they just like it's all barking, and they think like the team is so good, but they obviously have like question marks everywhere. I'm sick of the Cowboys to be honest. It's just I'm tired of hearing the same noise every year, and like then they
Yeah.
get to the playoff and disappoint massively. It's just
It's like
it's their
rinse and
identity
repeat
now.
every year.
Yeah, it's just their identity. This is what they do.
But fantasy wise, though, I don't think I'm concerned with CD or Dak. Dak, I think.
Dak, I'm
Oh, he
suspect.
did have two interceptions.
Dak, I'm suspect. Back to back weeks, struggling. Didn't really do much.
He got his contract, and now he's sitting pretty.
I hope that's. I don't think that's the case. Just rust.
Just rust.
Just rusty. Just rusty.
Yeah.
So it's only 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Anything else though on this matchup?
No, no. I'm sick of talking about the Cowboys. I don't enjoy talking about them. Even though they lost, I can't really celebrate that much.
Yeah, honestly, that's fair. And then the last matchup for Sunday, we're going to chat about Bengals versus Chiefs. A little bit more exciting and definitely came down to the wire kind of game. Bengals lost, unfortunately, though, to the Chiefs with their late field goal that they hit. So, Tammy, as a Jamar Chase owner and general Bengals offense wise, do you see them turning it around? Like, what's happening? What are your thoughts?
Thoughts wise, definitely they're too talented for me to not think they're gonna turn it around.
Yeah.
That's just like I'm. It's only week 2. I don't give up that quickly for fantasy. I think once T gets back, they're gonna go back to more of their identity. I think right now they're still kind of like figuring things out. Burrow was out a lot last year, like
Yeah.
most of last season, so they lost track of their performance. This past week, yes, they lost, and the result was the same as week 1, but it was an
Hmm.
improvement. Week 1, you saw a team that really didn't know what, like, it seems like they haven't played football in like
Yeah.
years, and they're like struggling. And this week, it was against the defending champ, and they lost by 1 on like close calls, and the pass interference call that was Chiefs being getting Chiefs calls, but that I guess it could be PI. Some people might disagree. However, it was a close game, which is a significant improvement for the Bengals. Jamar Chase still a little. I can still see this disgruntledness in him from his old contract, off-season contract
Mhm.
negotiations. So when a player is not happy, that will translate to their performance. But I hope they kind of have to find a way to rectify it and just
Yeah.
focus on this season. So I still believe in Chase. He's a very talented wide receiver, and I hope they get it together. I'm hoping. I think they will, but right now it's
I
rough.
I actually think they're going to bounce back strong this coming week. They're playing the Commanders on Monday night. Commanders are not that good of it. They don't have a good defense. The Giants kind of lit them up. So I think this is going to be a big bounce back game for the Bengals. And if you own any of the Bengals, I think you should start at least Joe Burrow, start Jamar Chase for sure. Start Zach Moss too, potentially. Singletary went off. So essentially, I agree. They're going to turn around. T should be back too, hopefully.
Yeah,
soon.
I don't think I have it in me to make the decision to bench a healthy Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I don't, because like it's too good for me to just be like, I don't know. I don't. It would be. I would have to have really, really good options that are like consistent. It would take a lot.
I don't want to my own horn, but he was my biggest bust last week, and he didn't do too hot.
Didn't do great. Didn't do great. Well, Chiefs defense is good.
Yeah, Chiefs defense is really good. That's why I wanted to highlight last week as well, and it turned out true. But on the Chiefs, on the other hand, for the Chiefs, Rashee Rice, he is the bona fide like weapon for them. Like he is consistently like putting up numbers, and he's the target for Patrick Mahomes, like over Kelce. Would you say Rice is the best option right now for Mahomes?
Yeah, he's the best pass catching option for Patrick Mahomes at the moment. Kelce, I think Kelce's gonna eventually get fed. He's hungry. He's been 2 back-to-back weeks. He's gonna be looking at his stat line and be like, "Hey, come on, guys, get me involved." But you're winning, so he's not really. He doesn't have a lot of oomph in his voice yet.
Right.
If they lose a game, then he's gonna be like, "Guys, yeah, involve me more." Like I understand, you guys think I'm aging, but I can still make plays happen. So I give them one lost game, then Kelce will be back to performing well. But to answer your question, Rashee Rice, very talented. The only reason, like I definitely had him on my radar in the offseason, but the only reason is because he didn't fall to me, and all the off-field drama.
Right. Yeah.
Really, I don't know when he might. I don't know how that's going, but makes me worried a little bit that like randomly in the middle of the season, Rashee Rice is out for the rest of the fantasy, especially in the fantasy playoffs. So you'll see.
At what point would you start to panic about Kelce if he does a bad game like this coming week as well? Or how many?
Who are they playing this week?
Atlanta, who also have a pretty good defense.
They have good defense.
Yeah. They're at Atlanta too.
I think if week 5, Kelce, I have enough patience. I'm pretty patient with fantasy. Week 5, Kelce hasn't scored like over 15 points in any of the games. I'll be wary and starting to look for backups.
Second round in our league, so
yeah,
that's a big value.
That's high value. I will be trying to trade him, and I usually don't like selling down though.
Right.
Like unless but you might have to sell.
But yeah, Chiefs, as you mentioned, it's not. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but yeah, they won by 1 by a controversial pass interference call. But Mahomes didn't do too hot. That's the last point I wanted to touch on. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which was pretty average standards for him.
Yeah, definitely. When I was thinking of drafting quarterbacks in the early rounds of fantasy, Patrick Mahomes is a great QB.
Right.
But he doesn't do the extra stuff the Josh Allen and Jalen do to get points for fantasy.
Yeah.
So it was either one of Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, or just wait till later and try to get Kyler Murray. That was my initial plan, or Joe Burrow, or like Anthony Richardson maybe. But it wasn't.
Jaden Daniels.
Mahomes, what?
Jaden Daniels.
He wasn't too on my radar just because, I don't know, Commanders. But it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes for fantasy, he's not going to be like, I don't know, a couple seasons ago when he was like, I think when he won his first MVP, he's not going to have that type of fantasy production because, they use him in other ways now and they have other running options. And no one's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye out on Kelce, especially if you're a Kelce owner. But yeah, any more thoughts on this before we move on?
Nope. I think we spent enough time talking about these good teams.
Let's transition to Monday then. Temi's Temi's hometown team played. But so the Falcons, they visited Philly and they played it was a really close game. It came down literally to the wire, and then unfortunately, the Eagles could not run out the clock, or their time management, or whatever you want to call it, choked. After the Eagles got the ball, the Falcons got the ball back, and they drove down in like literally like 30 seconds, and then scored a touchdown. Drake London touchdown. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins looked really good that drive. So, give me just besides fantasy, just give me your thoughts on the game.
It was a long. I had like an all day meeting for work, and I was excited to watch the game. It was a long day. I was watching the game. I was like, this is a good game. It was a pretty good game. Like both teams are
Yeah,
like pretty evenly matched. Both like contenders, like NFC contenders, playoff potential playoff teams. So it was a good game. I felt like the Eagles, like this is probably the best game I've seen Jalen Hurts play in the past like eight games or 9 games since they played the 49ers last season. He looked healthier. One thing I was
yeah,
saying about Jalen last season was he looked like he was injured and he was not as mobile. And he also looked the same on like against Green Bay. But
yeah,
I think that's because of the field conditions. To see him play this way last night really gave me hope and optimism. I
yeah,
was I was like, okay, like the Eagles are showing signs of life and they're doing well. Then the last drive, that last 2 minutes, or the second to the last drive for the Eagles, when it was like the third down, right? I
mm-hmm.
was like, okay, just rush it, hit some clock, like hit the clock down, timeout, rush it again. Falcons are gonna like maybe like you either get the first down because you have Saquon Barkley, who's a great running back.
Right,
Falcons is only gonna have like 30 seconds without a timeout and try to go downfield and score. Or you end the game if you get the first down. Even if I yes last night I was pissed about the play calling
yeah,
of passing the ball to Saquon on that 3rd and 3. I thought about it. I thought about it, and everyone is feeling is gonna disagree with me now because everyone is mad. But I don't blame Nick Sirianni for making that play because he was trying to end the game. He made a call, which was the right
mm-hmm.
call. Like he made it. Yes, he wasn't good for the game management, and he forgot the part that if it's incomplete. But you can't blame a coach for trusting his player. He trusted Saquon to catch that
Mm-hmm.
ball, and I think any of us would bet on Saquon to catch that ball and like make that play.
Yeah,
Bad game management, but it was a risk, and you have to make risk. Like to win, sometimes you have to take risk, and
right,
he took a risk. Didn't work out well for that for the third down. But me personally, I think it was better on the fourth down instead of kicking the field goal, run the clock down, like rush the ball, get some like a few more like after the boy snap, scramble down, scramble, maybe take off like 15 or 20 seconds, and like by the time the Falcons regroup, they're pinned at their like the 10-yard line, and they have to go downfield. You can still because it's not like they have to go score a touchdown. You can play some closer like coverages.
yeah,
That's that's what I was hoping they do, but I also understand wanting them to score a touchdown instead of having to score a field goal to tie it. But I believe I'll have rather them go and try to go from 10-yard line and try to score a field goal when then we go into OT. And that game going into OT, I think I trust really like I would have confidence in my team to win it. I think it was just a choke job. It was a choke job. I'm not gonna deny it. It was a very there were risk like taken, but I'm not. I think they will learn from it. I hope they learn from it. I'm not gonna blame the players or like. I think if I'm to blame anyone, I don't really like assigning blame because they lose as a team. But the most disappointing player for me was Darius Slay on that last play. Like, come on, big play. Like, he literally was. He had his eyes on Kirk. Yes, we've gotten into this situation, but like, you're supposed to be one of the best. Like, you guys are supposed to be elite defense. You're supposed to be one of
right.
the best cornerbacks, and literally got cooked on a
Well, out
move.
route.
Like was
Yeah,
one of the literally 2 step. Jake London lost him quickly, like
yeah,
because he wasn't focused on his man. He was focused on Kirk. So If there's someone I was a little disappointed in just because of the standard I expect him to play at was Darius Slay. Saquon, yes, he dropped that ball, but it happens. It happens. It's football. It happens. He's a running back. It's not like a pass catcher. Yes, Jalen threw the interception late in there, but he had a great game and he had to take risk of getting the team like the ball closer so Jay Kelly can have a good chance. But the only one that was like just too easy was Slay. Like Slay made that way too easy. It wasn't even like a mistake. It was just like he zoned out. He literally zoned out. It wasn't. Come on, the game is on the line. Wake up, buddy. Like I like Darius
Yeah,
Slay. He's done some good things in Philly, but you're an elite cornerback. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. So I think overall disappointed in the outcome. I felt very deflated, but I hope they learn from it, and I'm not like giving up hope yet because they're not going to win all the games. I personally prefer like win the games that you can win, like the ones that are toss up. I understand if you lose it. I feel like this is a game they should have won, and they just didn't
absolutely.
execute. They should not. They just didn't execute properly, and gave Kirk too much time, and they were asleep on defense, like insanely asleep. So
Yeah,
it was way too easy for Kirk to go score that touchdown. But I hope they learn from it. I hope they don't let this break them up in the locker room. That like because the more turmoil in the locker room, the more issues and like that
yeah,
translates into losses on the field. And this was without AJ Brown. They played against a really good team without AJ Brown, and Jalen showed sign of life because a lot of people
absolutely.
doubt Jalen. I always believe in him, but I was starting to question things until I saw him last night. The way he played, he played a lot better, but there's still room for improvement. So enough of my rants on the Eagles. That was just like the breakdown of my thoughts. I did not I cared zero about fantasy watching that game, so I wasn't even looking at the fantasy perspective.
That's
But
okay.
from fantasy, Jalen had a good game. Devonta Smith had a good game. But yeah, disappointing. I felt really deflated watching. I was just like, I can't believe they lost that way because that was something you should have just. That was gonna be an easy slam dunk win at the
Yeah.
end.
Well, thank you for that monologue. That was very insightful. Honestly, you hit everything that
Yeah.
I wanted to chat about. But fantasy wise, Atlanta did play pretty well. Fantasy Drake London, if you're Drake London order, you got 17 points, pretty good. Darnell Mooney also like 17, 18 points, pretty
Waiver
good there
wire
too.
target.
Yeah. And then Bijan Robinson, he got 97 rushing yards, but didn't score, but was running really well. Kirk also played really well, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So overall, pretty good, solid fantasy outputs. Saquon did his thing. No, didn't score though, but yeah,
Almost did.
almost did. But down
Then
if we
Jalen
wanted to
got it.
tush push, yeah. But yeah, thank you. You heard it here. Tammy's thoughts about the game. I think
I don't know why.
that
I don't know why
it's
the
more than
Eagles did it
enough.
to me. I don't know why Philly do this to me. They do this to us every year. Come on, guys. Come on. Philly. It was at home too. I had friends at the game that posted it.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, you just got to move on though.
Yeah,
Tough
yeah.
losses
Move on.
happen.
Next week is a
This is
new
this
week.
won't make or break your season though.
Yeah, exactly. Bounce
Yeah.
back.
All right. On that note, that concludes the recap of this week's matchups for the games. Let's move on to the stud list. I have 3 people I want to highlight. They're not necessarily the highest scorers, but I just wanted to highlight these people. So some of them are the highest scorers, but one person is not. But Alvin Kamara, let's start with him. He had 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 catches on 3 targets, 65 yards, 1 touchdown catching wise. Overall, 44 points. Outstanding performance. I literally can't ask for more. The next person is Marvin Harrison. Got 4 catches, 8 targets, 130 yards, 2 catching touchdowns, 29 points PPR. Once again, these are all PPR points. And the last person I wanted to highlight, this is the person I was talking about, Malik Neighbors. He didn't necessarily wasn't one of the top scorers. He did score a lot, but it wasn't the top scorers. But I wanted to highlight this because 10 catches for 18 targets, 127 yards and 1 touchdown, 28.7 points. That is phenomenal output. That is I just wanted to shout him out. The rookies did really well this week. Sorry, but Tammy, who do you think will repeat this out of these three
Well,
players?
looking at my hope is it's Malik Neighbors that gets back on the stud list, just because of some selfish reasons and like some like I hope I can have Alvin Kamara go off next week against Philly. I hope that it doesn't, but looking at that Philly defense being so weak,
Bijan kind of ran. Bijan ran really well.
yeah. So like, and Alvin Kamara is on fire lately, so
Yeah,
I hope he doesn't get back on the stud list. Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing Detroit, so that's a really good defense, tough defense to go against.
I actually think Marvin Harrison out of these three players is going to be the highest scorer out of these three guys. Chris Godwin kind of popped off against the Lions. Cooper Kupp kind of popped off against the Lions. Those are the first two matchups.
Yeah, but those are slot receivers. Marvin Harrison is not.
He can play out of the slot, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's more of like why. But I can see him doing it, but I think
the Lions' biggest weakness is the secondary, so I do have to. There's some optimism for Harrison too.
Yeah, and who is Neighbors playing? Who are the Giants playing?
He's playing the
Browns.
The Browns, yeah.
Oof, tough defense.
Tough defense, yeah.
Tough defense. I don't know if DJ is going to be able to pass that ball to him. Miles Garrett is going to get to him.
I think it's in Cleveland too, so.
Yeah, okay. I think you changed my mind a little bit there. I didn't realize who Neighbors was playing. I'm a little biased because I own Neighbors in multiple leagues, but Cleveland is a beast, and they're going to get after Daniel Jones.
DJ.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep.
Okay. Switching gears to Temi's Naughty list. The first guy on the Naughty list, unfortunately, is one of my players. My guy. My number one, my first round pick, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, you have a couple weeks. Four catches out of 5 targets, only 35 yards, 7.5 points, which is a massive bust for his standards. Disappointing. I hope he bounce back. Second on the Naughty list is Anthony Richardson. After week 1, Anthony Richardson kind of flopped week 2.
Yeah.
And only had 50% completion, 204 yards, 1 TD, 3 interceptions, 4 rushes. Not a great game. Wait, remind me who the Colts played?
They played 1 second. They played
Green Bay. Yeah, they played Green Bay. And they lost. And everyone was expecting Malik to struggle. But anyways, rough week. He only had 9.86 points. Anthony Richardson. Yes, 9.86 points is good for some players, but not for Anthony Richardson. So, rough week. And finally, we already talked about this player, Travis Kelce. He only had one catch out of 3 targets, 5 yards, 1.6 points. I think the more concerning thing for me here is he only had 3 targets.
Yeah, that's bad.
He had one big play that got wiped out by a penalty. I don't know, his target share is kind of going down, and which is concerning for a second round fantasy pick.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm a little concerned, but I haven't given up on Travis Kelce. I think it's just a slow start, so hopefully he bounces back. So, Aneesh, of these 3 players, who am I talking about again next week on the Naughty list? I hope it's not Chase.
It actually, no, I don't think it's Chase. Chase, like I said, they're playing the Commanders, right? Yeah, they're playing the Commanders on Monday night. Colts are playing the Bears. Bears struggling big time.
Good defense, though.
Good defense, but
good defense.
Texans kind of played really well, or they passed pretty well. I don't know. Well, I actually think my answer is Kelce here. I think Kansas City's going on the road to face Atlanta. Atlanta has a really strong secondary. They have 2 really physical safeties, like really good. And Philly doesn't really have a good tight end, but their tight end numbers weren't that good against Atlanta. And Atlanta also played the Steelers week 1, and their tight end. Like I said, this is take it with a grain of salt, but so far the tight ends have struggled against the Falcons defense.
Yeah, I mean, very valid points. Kelce, who are the Colts playing again?
Colts are playing Chicago in
I,
Indianapolis.
I think Anthony Richardson is going to struggle against Chicago. Chicago's defense is good. Their QB
That's fair.
is getting his welcome to the league moments. He got beat up. Real bad on Sunday night. Real bad, but I think he's going to eventually figure things out. He struggled. Very concerning for if I own Chicago wide receivers, but he'll figure it out. Might just be later on in the season, so people are gonna have to be patient. Quickly though, before I just since we're already talking about Caleb Williams and like rookie QB, I feel like during the offseason, Tom Brady talked about how like these QBs are being thrown in like starting roles instead of having time to develop. And he's really, I mean, Tom Brady is the GOAT, so of course he's right. Like just seeing Caleb Williams and seeing like how Justin Fields was and seeing Bryce Young, it's right. Like these guys are being thrown on bad teams, being drafted in the first overall. Teams are not fully built for them, and they're thrown in the starting spot before being ready for the limelight and being ready to play against grown men. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm very worried about Caleb. Like this might ruin or affect Caleb's like development.
Sucks. He's like running every play essentially, every snap. Caleb's O line.
Bryce's O line sucks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least Caleb showed some sign of life because there are sometimes he got out of it, and you can see like the talent is there. I just hope for his sake it's not too late and his career doesn't get, because it's one thing to be number one overall drafted, but now you have to go earn that because there are people coming after your job. Grown men, people that need to feed their kids. So come on, Caleb. Anyways, a little pivot from what we were talking about earlier there. But now moving on to the next segment here, we have our injury watch. There were a lot of injuries, maybe too many injuries that I don't even think we have enough time to talk about every single one. But I'm just going to highlight some of them. Tua went down to a concussion on Thursday night. Big decision there for Tua. We have Cooper Kupp went down like mid-game to an ankle injury, I believe.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco also, I think, fractured the bone. I think his ankle also. Was it his ankle?
It's like a
fibular or something.
Yeah,
one of those bones.
One of those bones.
AJ Brown hamstring injury. Debo post-game announced injury, calf injury. And I think there were other like questionable ones, like JJ also had to exit the game.
Mm-hmm.
Did Mike Evans get injured? I feel like I saw news on him being.
I don't think so, but I may have missed it.
Maybe not. Maybe he was just Rashad White. Did he come back into the game?
He came back into the game, but it's just something to keep an eye out. Those injuries that he got can linger.
Yeah, and Mixon also. Mixon exited and came back.
Yeah.
So week 2 was rough week. A lot of questions. But anyways, those are the injuries. Now you have to pivot and adjust. So going into the next segment here, with injuries comes waiver wire opportunities. And for this week, unlike last week, there's no clear-cut number one waiver wire pick. I think this one you kind of have to. Unfortunately for me, I have the number one waiver pick, but I don't even know who I want to completely stand on. Like I don't. Right now, I'm honestly still deciding, and I'll have to make a decision in the next couple hours here and just put in someone. But Aneesh, who do you have as your waiver wire target this week, or who would you tell people to
I'm going to go with my opinion, quote unquote, best waiver pickup for this week. So in your case, or other people's case who have the number one pick for the waiver, I would recommend they go after this guy, Carson Steele. So as we talked about, Isaiah Pacheco went down. He's on the IR could miss up to 6 to 8 weeks with this leg injury that he had, the fracture. So who's up for running backs next? There's a couple options. Samaje Perine and Carson Steele. Steele is the rookie running back. He was a 1,500-yard rusher in college back in 2022. He's a huge guy. He's built for a goal line red zone kind of role, the short yardage role. Chiefs are a good offense. We know this. So when they're in the red zone, I feel like Carson Steele, who can also catch passes, can be the guy that they can depend on. He can be trusted in pass protections, the 2-minute situations. He could be the primary back. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's missing another 2 more games for personal reasons. So it's essentially down to a couple guys. Obviously, Kareem Hunt got signed, but I still give the edge to Steele. I feel like they're going to give opportunity to people to prove themselves.
Yeah, good pick. I think it's slated to have that number 1 role while Pacheco is out. This one is tricky for me. And like, I don't disagree with you. I think Steele has a strong case.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go on the same team. I decided that option. Maybe if I'm not speaking strictly from our league, I would say my waiver wire target would be Kareem Hunt. I think the highest upside. But sticking to our league, based on who's available, Aneesh made the sacrifice to snag up Kareem Hunt and threw out Young Hoku right before the game. So he snagged up Kareem Hunt in our league and is no longer available. Good play. I saw that play and I laughed and I was like, oh. Aneesh, even before Kareem signed with the Chiefs, before it was announced that he signed with the Chiefs. So it was an interesting move.
Question. Did you originally think I was just throwing away so I could get the first waiver pick?
No. I knew I was too far off. No, you're not like that. I was like, he's trying to get the asset because he knows he's not gonna get the number 1 waiver pick. Like, you won't know. I know your games. We played this way too long. I didn't think you were trying to like not get like the odds of me catching up to you was very, very slim. Like Jalen had a great game.
Yeah.
But still, it wasn't. Even with that case, then like if you're still gonna get like Kareem Hunt then, because I couldn't drop anyone. Like, everyone already played, so you're lucky in that sense that you had one more player. If I was in your shoes, I definitely would have tried to make the same.
I was down by 60 points.
Yeah, you weren't gonna win. Yeah. I didn't think you were trying to like score the lowest. I just thought you just said this is my best chance because I'm not gonna get it. But anyways, going back to my waiver wire pick, if Kareem Hunt is available, go get Kareem Hunt. It's the proven running back. But if it's not, I'm putting my money on Samaje Perine. And nothing against Steele. I don't like disagree with things you've said about him. Mm-hmm. I just think Pacheco is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I think I rely more on the veteran, better like pass catching running back that's proven in Cincinnati. So I think my money is more on Samaje Perine. So therefore, I think Perine is the main waiver wire target in that backfield. But overall, I don't know. But that backfield scares me. Not gonna lie, it's just too many options, and the Chiefs are a pass first team, so it's gonna be so inconsistent. That's why I don't like this at all.
I don't like it, but I also do like it because just a few years ago we saw Jerick McKinnon, who was fabulous for fantasy because of that PPR role that he had. And you may be right. Samaje Perine and McKinnon at that time, he was a veteran that came in, and Perine could fill that McKinnon role. So yeah, it's a great pass catcher. So
yeah, too many options. We Clyde might return, and like this is only for like 4 to 6, maybe let's say even like 8 weeks.
I think it's actually 6 to 8. Yeah,
up to 8. Like even 8 weeks for Pacheco to get back, and by the time I need them the most in the playoffs, Pacheco is back. But again, it's a waiver wire pick. I have a decision to make. Yeah, I think you just have to go. You just have to go after one of those guys, and hope the guy you go after is the one that comes out on top. And it's not like I'll be by community.
It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, but there are also a lot of players got injured, so there are other options out there outside of the Chiefs. Like I think, like Naylor, is that his name for the Vikings? Could be a good pickup. Is available. The wide receiver for the Vikings.
Right.
Addison's been out, JJ being questionable, so he might live into the
for sure.
Then Then like you can look at the Rams, the Michael Robinson and like the Johnson guy, and there are options there. Until
Right.
Henry. So a lot of options. It's just a matter of
Definitely.
taking the gamble with the right guy. So I wish it was like last week where it was easily likely, and I just pick likely. It's worse now because I know whoever I put in first, like I'm gonna get, and I'll be so mad at myself later on for picking the wrong person. That's why it's worse for me. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
wherever my team is struggling. So
I wonder who you're gonna get later tonight.
yeah, I'll have to pick the right person. All right, enough of the fun on the waiver wire. Moving on to our next segment, our last segment here, which is the boom bust prediction. Just a recap of last week. For this segment, I'm going to switch things up a little bit. Do a recap of last week, propose a rule change, then
Sure.
do the predictions for next week. So, recap of last week. Started with the boom predictions. Aneesh predicted Jaden Daniels to boom.
Yeah.
How many points did this score?
Yeah, 13.44 points, projected 17.33.
Okay.
So it didn't necessarily boom. I wouldn't call that a bust either.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not really a bust, but not really a boom. So Anisha escapes the punishment a little bit this week. Slightly just edged it up. For my boom pick, I picked Marvin Harrison Jr. after his down week. And I was right. I was spot on with that.
Definitely.
I had a very good week.
Yeah.
So we were both correct on that. For the bust prediction, Anish predicted Jamar Chase. And dead spot on.
Yeah, I knew that. I was very confident.
Yeah. And I picked either Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I thought I picked Stephon Diggs. I was going back and forth between those two guys, and I said it on.
Maybe you did. Maybe I got the wrong Texan. I know. I swear you picked Joe
Either
Mixon.
way, both of them bust.
Yeah.
I think I probably picked
now.
Mixon because of the defense.
Yeah.
It's good run defense with Chicago, so that makes sense. But in my mind, I was thinking about both of them, and both of them did not do that great.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah, you'd have to go look back at the episode for that one. So that's the recap. We escaped the punishment for now. Now, here's the rule change I'm proposing. I think our rules were too nice, and we need to start eating this bean boozled. They've been literally, I'm on like work trip, and I have it with me right here. Like I packed it in my bag with me. I need to open up the wrap, so like things are too easy. So here's my proposal. So for the boom, starting with the boom at least, I've only thought as far as the boom, but I want to get your thoughts on this. For the boom prediction, if your player does not score 5 points more than they're projected, at least 5 points more than they're projected, you eat the candy. Like you just you take it, because technically by definition of boom, like they have to score above their projection. And if they don't score above their projection, that's not a boom. So you're wrong.
That's fine. I'm for it.
Yeah. So if you like the JD McDaniels case, if that was to be next week, you'd have been
a failure.
Yeah. And for the bust projection, I think they have to score. If they score, they have to score less than 5 points, and then their projected points. So if it's projected 15 and they score 10 points or less, that's correct. But if they score more than 10 points or less, that's not a bust, and you're wrong.
Sure.
So it's not. So our rules were too nice before, but we gotta start popping this open. So new rules for that.
Okay.
Based on those new rules, Anish, what you got for your? Let's start with the bust, so we can end the show on a good note, on a positive note. Bust prediction.
I actually talked about this guy. I'm going with Malik Neighbors. He just came off of a big boom, but now I think he's going to go back down to earth a little bit. So we talked about this matchup. Giants are going to Cleveland to play Cleveland. And Cleveland has a good defense, and Giants, their offense is pretty shaky on the road, especially. And Browns defense, fantasy points, tough to go against their defense. So Neighbors proved that he's a talented pass catcher, but this week isn't the week for him to boom. I think he's going to get below his projections. In this case, whatever we said, 5 points below. Let me see what he's projected. Neighbors is projected 12.64. Boy. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yikes. Hey, I'm going with it though. Week 1 they held Cowboys to 179 yards passing in total, and then week 2 Jacksonville Jaguars they held honestly pretty bad offensive production. Trevor Lawrence. So I'm gonna say the same. I'm gonna pick Neighbors. What about you?
Okay. I just realized it's on our ruse, but we're going with it. My bust prediction is Bijan against the Chiefs.
Bijan?
The Chiefs have been good at slowing down running backs this season so far. They successfully slowed down Derrick Henry, even though yes he scored a touchdown, but they at like only 10 points.
Yeah.
And they also slowed down the Cincinnati running backs. They slowed down Moss.
Right.
I'm betting on the Chiefs, Chris Johnson, the Chiefs on that one. But that means Bijan has to score. He's projected 16.2. So based on our new rules, he's going to have to score 11 points. I mean, this honestly, it's possible to score. Like that, honestly, I think that constitutes as a bust for him.
Yeah,
because
sure.
Anything above that, then like it's still like, if I own him, I won't be pissed, but I won't be like ecstatic about it. He's been consistent though. His past 2 games, 16.1 points, 16.2 points. So hopefully next week it's 10.2 points. But that's my bust prediction. Aneesh, what's your boom prediction?
My boom prediction is drum roll. I lost it 1 second. Brandon Ayuk. 49ers, they're facing the Rams. Rams they're getting honestly destroyed with injuries, and that's on the offensive side. But defensive wise, they're still struggling. The Cardinals just lit them up. And what do we know about the San Francisco 49ers? They're also good dealing with a lot of injuries. They lost Deebo Samuel for a few games. CMC's still out. Obviously, Kittle and Jordan Mason are still there and Purdy. But Ayuk is definitely the top option for them. And I think it's been a rough couple of weeks for Ayuk, off to a very slow start after holding out. But I think this is the week he starts to look for redemption and prove that he is that top tier wide receiver deserving of that.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great pick. I didn't even look at San Francisco because I forgot with Debut. My pick, I'm questioning this, but I'm gonna just rock with it. My gut is telling me Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs has been good this year. Like his first 2 games, scored consistently 17 points. Yeah. He's currently projected 16.2. I think he can get 21 points. So I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs against the Cardinals as my win prediction, and that's it. No in-depth analysis. I think the Cardinals defense is good, but my boy Gibby needs to have a bigger game. So it's time.
We'll see. It's time for next week might be the week we debut the Bean Boozled.
I think it's very much looking like it. Especially with our bus predictions. Jesus.
Yeah, bus might be a little tougher.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the boldness. I like it.
Yeah.
Neighbors is whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to waste the money we spent on this. So start doing it. I think that wraps it up for the show. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I actually do have a few thoughts. Just Aneesh's nuggets. Just two quick stats here. Maybe a third one really quickly. But Giants. Let's talk about the Giants quickly. Giants became the first team in NFL history to score 3 or more touchdowns, allow no touchdowns to the opposition, and then still lose the game. So that's a cool stat that I saw. Another stat is Patrick Mahomes just threw his 17th interception that was called back due to a defensive penalty. So that's the most in the NFL since 2018. And just for fun, this is the last stat. Lance would like this, but Chris Boswell has more points scored as a kicker because the field goals count as 3 and extra points count as 1. So he has 25 points. Then the entire Giants offense has scored 24 in this entire season so far. So those are Aneesh's Nuggets. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, quickly on the Giants. So you said Giants are the first team to score 3 touchdowns and not allow
a touchdown.
Not allow a touchdown.
And still lose.
They scored 3 touchdowns last weekend?
Yep.
What was this final score?
Let me pull it up.
Because I know Washington scored 21 with 7 field goals.
Yeah, Giants, they played Commanders. They lost 18-21. They scored 3 touchdowns. Their kicker was out, and they only scored 6 points each scoring touchdown.
No one could kick the field goal. They could not find the punter could not kick a field goal.
I don't know. No, that's the Giants.
Oh my God! Why that organization is so sorry?
This is the second straight week I had a Giants featured Nugget stat.
Yeah, I cannot believe like they could not find a single person to kick field goal, not even the punter. My God. Well, the G-Man. Yikes! All right. Well, thank you for those stats and those nuggets. I look forward to them every week. By the way, he doesn't tell me these nuggets before the show, so I'm just hearing it live as everyone else is. So you get my live reaction too. But nice. Well, as usual, we're gonna wrap up the show. Thank you everyone for listening. It's always great getting in the huddle and having this conversation and getting to share some of our insight on fantasy. As usual, you know our social media by now. I don't have to remind you, but if I do, we don't have Facebook again, just to clarify. But you'll follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. By the way, if you've been listening on Spotify, we release every episode video on YouTube. So if you want a video and see what our live reactions and what our faces look like, it does on YouTube at the Fantasy Huddle podcast. Thank you for listening. As usual, peace.
Peace.